where Rick needs, I don't know what he needs it for, but he needs some seeds
from the
and
mega tree.
Some seeds from the what?
Mega tree.
From the mega tree.
You're right.
And the only way to get these seeds out of the universe is to push it up their butt. Get the seeds out of there. So they go towards the custom or immigration or border protection, whatever it was. And
you got a new machine. So what's the new machine? You said it's to check to see if he has seeds all the way up his butt. So on this episode, Jerry, the father, he sees the dog, and it's Morty's dog. Morty's dog, he pees on the ground, and he's like, Rick, can't you do something to make this dog smarter? So Rick gives the dog a helmet, and the dog, like, gains intelligence. So after he does that, the dog tries to talk to him, but he's a dog. He's a dog, so he can't talk. He's like, hilarious.
His name is Snowball, by the way.
Not even Snuffles. It's Snuffles. Dog named Snuffles. But while they're doing the Inception thing, they do that because Morty is failing his math class. Because Morty's like, pretty much he's stupid. He's really stupid. Morty is as dumb as Rick is smart. But we're going to get to that later. So he's dumb and he's failing his math class. So they go on his math teacher to try and make his math teacher dream about giving Morty an A to make him give Morty an A. But as they do that, they get caught up because the teacher is an active dreamer. So they go inside the dream of someone who's inside the teacher's dream. And then they end up going up inside someone else's dream and finding Scary Terry. He's like a bootleg Freddy Krueger. But he always say bitch. I don't know why. But it's funny. And then after that, they end up going inside. You know, on Freddy, they always had that little girl who sings. They go inside her dream. But her dream is the same dream. So now they still dreaming the same dream. So then they had to go inside Scary Terry dream. It was a lot of Inception. And then back with the family, the dog Snuffles, he just kept gaining intelligence. He kept getting smarter and smarter. So he had a full robot suit at this point. They had him fixed. So he came to the daughter Summer. Like, where are my testicles, Summer? It's too much. And the dad busts in because it's midnight. The dad busts in to see what's going on. And he said, hey, Jerry, come to rub my face in urine again. It's a really funny episode.
Now, this is by far my second favorite episode out of season 1. Mainly the dog, mainly Snowball's part. Again, what he said when Snowball was trying to talk the first time, I thought that was funny. I thought the whole that Rick and Morty basically brought the whole Inception theme over to the to Snowball's dream because he basically was taking over humanity, and they brought it over to his dream to trick him to go to a different universe. I thought that was funny because Snowball, after they incept his dream, he basically woke up like a normal dog, basically barking. I like Scary Terry too. Scary Terry was funny by saying bitch at the end of everything. Now we're going to episode 4. I think it's my third favorite, I think. M. Night Shyamalan's. Basically the one with the simulations.
This was kind of like the Inception episode. In this episode, they were in a simulation. It started off inside a simulation. Rick was in a simulation. And unbeknownst to him, he was in a simulation with Morty and Jerry. But he wasn't really in a simulation with Morty at the time. You, as a viewer, you thought it was Morty, but it wasn't. But anywho, spoilers, my fault. But anywho, so he's in a simulation of the smartest people in the universe, quote unquote, quote unquote, the smartest people in the universe, and they want to know the ingredients to make, the recipe to make
dark matter.
I was about to say black matter. Dark matter. To make dark matter to fuel their ship. So he does it like as it seems like he's escaping the simulation, but he ends up realizing he was still in the simulation. And then once he thought he was out the simulation, he was still in the simulation. So he went to his safe inside the second simulation. He went to his safe and put the code in so he can get his dark matter so he can fuel his ship and leave. But then he found out that that was just a simulation. So now they're like, okay, now we have dark matter and we have the code to your safe, so we know all your secrets. Said, but I'm just gonna change the password before you guys do. Said, okay, well go ahead. So he leaves again to try and change his code on his locker. But then he recognized that he's in a simulation, inside a simulation, inside a simulation. It was just, it was a lot.
Now, the other half of this episode was basically focused on Jerry. So they kidnapped Morty and Jerry.
Right.
And in Jerry's simulation, he basically thinks that he has to put on a presentation about selling apples.
Right.
Don't know where this came from, even though he's a stay-at-home dad. So he basically has to sell apples to the office. And at the beginning of this episode, they weren't planning on Jerry being in the simulation. So they basically took all of his CPU power and poured it over to Morty's section. So Jerry's simulations was fucked up the whole episode.
Yes.
And surprisingly, he basically sold the whole healthy for apples idea, which he ripped off of Got Milk.
Hungry for apples.
Then him and Morty basically come face to face with each other inside the simulation, and again, which he was explaining that Rick basically tricked the smartest people in the universe, the aliens / Sigerians, who were in turn trying to trick Rick the whole time. So that basically wraps up episode 4. Episode 5, which is by far, I'd say, both of our favorites. The episode focused around the Meeseeks and
The family.
Morty wanting to go on a personal adventure to a fantasy world. So, in turn, Rick basically gives the family a box that allows these poofy characters to pop up and help them with any chores or help that they may need during the adventure of between him and Morty.
But it has to be a simple task. You can only ask for a simple task. So once you call on a Meeseeks, he does the task and he stops existing. So Summer asked for popularity. Beth asked to be more complete. But Jerry asked to get 2 strokes off his golf game, which was an impossible task. So the Meeseek he couldn't cease to exist. So he called on another Meeseek to help him, which just led on and on and on to more Meeseeks, and everything just went bad. With Rick and Morty, though, they were in a fantasy land, and it was like Jack and the Beanstalk, kind of. They went up the beanstalk to the giant, and the giant was like, fee, fi, fo, fum, and all of that. But the giant fell and hit his head and died. So the wife came, and the wife trapped Rick and Morty and turned them into the giant police. Then they went to giant court and all of that. And then they were climbing down the giant steps. They got released. I don't know how they got released. There was some politics, but they got released. So they were climbing down the stairs, because the stairs are gigantic, because it's giant court. They're climbing down the stairs, and they found like a hole in the wall. It's like a bar. So they went in the bar, and things went downhill.
So they basically ran into this slug creature that the slug wanted to charge them 25 schmackles. The slug wanted to charge them 25 schmackles to get down the mountain, down the stairs. And Morty basically takes a trip to the bathroom where he runs into a jelly bean. Which he then explains to the jelly bean that he's on an adventure, and the jelly bean gives him advice that he should basically go with the flow.
Right.
So jelly bean then tries to rape him, But by the end of the episode, we get to see that the jelly bean likes to fiddle with people,
Right.
fiddle with kids.
Kids, not people.
So Morty ends up beating up the jelly bean and leave and goes to Rick, and then Rick ends up winning a pot of schmeckles. Don't know how much the schmeckles were by playing, I guess, poker. So they paid the slug to get down to the village, in which they give the bag of coins to the villagers, which was in turn the whole start of this adventure.
Right.
Now, now after they give the villagers the bag of coins, they basically leave the universe. But before leaving the universe, the villagers then ask them, do they want to meet the king to to for the king to tell them thanks. But in turn, the king was actually the jelly bean that tried to rape him. So they basically hurry up and left that universe. And Rick ends up pointing his hand out and killing the jelly bean. And that was the end of that. Now we go to the after credit scene, which I think is cool for a show that's on Adult Swim. And after every episode and after every credit scene, you get a little scene, which was the town people found a box of pictures that the jelly bean used to fiddle with kids. Then we go into the Meeseeks problem. The Meeseeks, again, they're trying to get 2 strokes off of Jerry's game. After they help the rest of the family, Summer and Beth, with their goals, they basically try to help Jerry with 2 strokes off of his game, and it never goes as planned because they keep telling him to square his shoulders and keep his head high. But it never goes as planned. But by the episode, I think it took 2 days for him to complete the task, which was like an eternity in Meeseeks time.
Because they're only supposed to last for like a good 20, 30, maybe 15 minutes.
Fulfill their purpose and then leave. So Beth and Jerry basically goes to dinner, and the Meeseeks had enough, and they basically said the only way to fulfill this task is to kill Jerry. because they're trying to help him get 2 strokes off his game, but it's not happening.
Right.
So by the end of the episode, he eventually, I guess, got 2 strokes off of his game. But that was by far, I think, both of our favorite.
That was a funny episode.
Both of our favorite episodes. Then we go into episode 6. Not a lot happened in this episode, with adventure-wise,
right.
But story-wise, it was good. So, again, 2 parts of the story. Morty wanted a love serum, and Jerry and his wife are continuing to have marriage problems. So Rick basically creates this testosterone, I guess, potion for Morty to spray on him in order for Jessica, the girl who Morty has a crush on, right, to fall in love with him. Now, by the end of the episode, the only problem with the love serum is that you couldn't have used it during flu season, in which coincidentally it was flu season. So by the end of the episode, everyone had ingested the love serum. It got airborne. Everyone was obsessed with Morty, and everyone eventually transformed into a I think it was grasshopper looking thing.
Not yet. His Rick's thought process, because he made the serum from a vole, because a vole's only purpose in life is just to mate. So from the vole, that's how he got the love serum. But after everyone was obsessed with Morty, he had to find the opposite. So he said a praying mantis. He said there's no love involved. They just mate and then they just eat their partner. It's disgusting. So he made a serum from praying mantis DNA, and then he sprayed it on everyone. But then it just went worse, and everyone turned into like part mantis, part human, and they still were obsessed with Morty. So it just was bad.
Then I think that basically wraps up the episode. Between basically that whole world, that whole universe right there went into chaos and got destroyed because the virus eventually got airborne. Everyone got contaminated, and everyone eventually transformed into like a goopy looking thing. So all of that was destroyed besides Beth and Jerry and Summer. So only those 3 was alive that we saw besides all of the deformed people. The potion did not affect genetically similar people.
Related.
Yeah, genetically related people. So by the end of the episode, we see that Beth and Jerry eventually got their peace Rick and Morty fled to a different universe, which Rick found a universe that the Rick and Morty died.
Of that universe.
Of that universe, they basically died. So they just hopped into that universe and took their place, which I thought was cool. And they just left the old universe behind. And I think, I don't know, maybe we might see what happened to Beth, Summer, and Jerry in the future, but they got their piece. Everyone is happy. And that was the end.